All right, here we go. So we're going to use videos to correct this week's test, and it's not a particularly long test. So instead of setting up a series of 3 videos, I'm going to put it all into one video. You don't have to look at the entire video. If you want to look ahead and see if you had the answers correct, you can fast forward to that point in the video. I don't expect you to watch everything or listen to my voice just to hear my voice. If you didn't understand something, then go back and watch that part. So here we are first with comparing data sets, and our idea here is how do we use averages to inform people about a set of data. We have 2 different sets of salaries, Company A and Company B, and the first thing that I asked you to do was I asked you to fill out this table, to go ahead and get that information, because that information then becomes very valuable when you do the rest of the problem. So let's go ahead and get that data. Now, I'm not going to sit here and add all the numbers on a calculator for you, but I will give you the answers, and then if you have questions, you can certainly come over and ask me. You raise a hand and I'll come and help you. So we're going to start with the mean. A mean is all of the data added together. So let me put it on this side. We add all, then divide by how many, and that's how we get our mean average. Add them all together, divide by how many there are. For Company A, when you add them all together, you get 3,933,000. There are 5 salaries listed. Therefore, you get an average of 786,600. The median for Company A. So our median is always the middle once you put it in order, least to greatest. And they list all of Company A's salaries in order least to greatest already. And the median is 739,000. The range for Company A is the largest salary. So the largest salary is 1,032,000 minus the smallest salary, which is 675,000, and that gives us a range for Company A of 375,000. It's a pretty large range. Let's go to Company B. So for Company B, the mean, add all those salaries together, you get 3,660,000. Divide by 5 salaries, and you get an average, a mean average of 732,000. The median, now they don't list these in order least to greatest. So I'm going to reorder them. I'm going to take those salaries and reorder them. So the smallest, when I look, I see 710 is the smallest. I'm going to cross that out as I go. The next smallest I see is 715. Notice I'm not putting the thousands places on. I don't really need that. Then I see a 740. Then I see another 740. And then I see a 755. Now I'm going to go through and I'm going to cross off the smallest and the largest, and the next smallest and the next largest, working my way to the center. So for this, the median is 740,000. It doesn't matter which 740. We just know the median is 740,000. So let's put that in. Finally, for Company B, the range is that largest salary. So I can go back to using this table. The largest was 755,000. Minus the smallest salary, that was the 710,000. And we get a range of 45,000. A much, much smaller range than Company A. So now we are ready to answer the 4 questions. Question A. The mean is a good representation of data for company B because there are no outliers. Yep, there are not any outliers. If you look, all of this data goes pretty closely together. That is true. B, the median for company A, so let's write down the median for company A, 739,000, is less than, here's our key phrase right here, is less than, so is less than the mean for company A. The mean salary for company A is 786,000. So is this true? Is 739 less than 786? Yes, that is true. Every one of these you're getting right, by the way. You're putting a star on. So if you had A correct, you're giving it a star. If you didn't have B correct, you're circling it in red. Moving on to C. The mean is a good representation of data for company A because there are not any outliers. Well, that's false. That's false. False, 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 false. There is an outlier. So the CEO salary is an outlier. You didn't have to write this explanation. I just want you to know why it's false. So that one's not true. Finally, the range of salaries for company B is less than, here's our key phrase, is less than the range for company A. So let's write it down in the order that they gave it to us. The range for company B, 45,000, is less than the range for company A, 375,000. And yes, that is a true statement. So in this case, A, B, and D were all correct answers. You should have a total of 9 stars on this. There should be a star for every one of these that you got right. Let me switch back to my red pen here. So for every one of these you got correct, there should be a star. If you got them wrong, you cross out your answer, put the correct answer in red, and then there should be a star for A, B, and D. On to problem number 2. Now, if you have a question about this, we've gone through this problem now, but if you're not sure about part of it, feel free to raise your hand and I'll come over and discuss it with you. Okay, problem number 2 on this test. Student Council of Payson Middle School wants to conduct a survey to identify the ways students get to school, different ways students get to school. They came up with 4 ways to conduct the survey. They come to you, they say, what do you think of these? And you tell them, well, you say, A, that's great. That is very random, which is exactly what we're shooting for. You randomly select 6 students, and here's the key, from every 6th period class. You have created a very random sample. Then they say, oh, we're also thinking to survey every 4th student that gets off the bus. And you say, no. No, you say, sample bias. All right there, pen. Sample bias, only bus students. What do you think bus students are going to say when you ask them, how do you get to school? They're going to say, duh, I take the bus I just got off of. So not a good sample. Then they say, okay, well, what if we set up a booth at the entrance of the school and survey every 5th student as they are? So yes, survey every 5th student. Every 5th student in the whole school. That's a great survey. That is very random. Finally, survey every student that lives within a quarter mile of the school. No, again, sample bias. What do you think the majority of those students are going to say? They're going to say they walk. So only students near school, they are probably more likely to be walkers. If you go to them and say, how do you get to school? And they say, well, I live close, I just walk. And then you go back and say, we can cancel all the buses. We don't need any more buses because everybody walks to school. That's not a good representative sample. On to problem 3. So if you have any questions on these, please feel free to ask me, call me over. Be happy to walk through it with you a little further. All right, on to the back side. Here we go on the back. So now we're doing the problems where everything is going to be answered either true or false, and then we have to justify our reason. So for the Taylor Swift question, the answer is true. I can't believe more people actually like Taylor Swift than Linkin Park, but that's what this group of students said. It's true. How do I know it's true? Because I see that they sampled 50 students and 15 said they like Taylor Swift. Percent is out of 100, so I'm going to make this out of 100. I know to go from 50 to 100, I multiply by 2. So I multiply the 15 by 2. It gives me 30, and 30 out of 100 is 30%. True statement. More students pick Linkin Park over Pitbull. Well, that should be a true statement, but it's not with these students. With these students, more students would probably pick. We can see that when you look at how many of the sample picked Linkin Park, you get 8. When you look at how many of the sample picked Pitbull, you get 9. Since that's a less than, when you do the bigger group of students, if you did the whole school, there's no reason to think that you're going to get more Linkin Park fans. In fact, this survey is so close, I would say it would be hard to definitively, to absolutely say, oh, there are definitely more Pitbull students at school. That's pretty close. All right, and finally, in a group of 300 students at the school, it's expected that 84 of the students would pick Bruno Mars. Well, this turns out to be true. I hope you like Bruno Mars. This turns out to be a true statement. Here's how we can prove it's a true statement. Right now, the Bruno Mars crowd is 14 out of the 50 we sampled. We're asking, is it going to be true that out of 300 we get 84? 50 times what makes 300? 50 times 6. So what happens when you multiply 14 by 6? Well, when you multiply 14 by 6, you get 84. You get 84 students liking Bruno Mars. So that's one way that you could show that that's true. Another way, if you want to be a traditionalist, you want to go old school, then we do the cross multiplication. 14 times 300 gives us 4,200. 50 times 84 gives us 4,200. And since those are equal, this is equal. Again, any questions, feel free to call me over. I'm happy to go through that with you. Now that you're done, if you will close your Chromebook cover, take a book out. We're going to read as a class until everybody gets through reviewing the test, and then we're going to move on to our next activity for the day. All right, thanks for keeping the room quiet so everybody could concentrate. And again, any questions you have, please ask.